Full disclosure. I fucking love Final Fantasy VII. Real talk. It's got a classic story, interesting characters. Strange World had a huge impact on me when I was younger. Grew up watching my pops play it. I played it a bunch myself too. My little bro was my audience and he played sometimes. For real, one time he accidentally killed Tifa trying to cure her, but he accidentally cast Quake. He was like 7, he couldn't really read. Actually, he says that Final Fantasy VII is the reason why he started to read better. That's a long story. Anyway, throughout college and well after that, occasionally I whip my PS1 out of the closet at least once a year and run through the game. You know, I watched Advent Children a bunch of times, which is, I guess it's an unpopular opinion, who knew? I never got to play any of the games in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII though. I did check out some Crisis Core on YouTube, you know, stuff like that. But I do got this dope Cloud statue, right? Check it out. So, you can imagine how excited I felt in 2015 when they dropped that Final Fantasy VII PS3 tech demo. Years later, when they finally announced the remake was really a thing, I'd all but lost hope. And now I've finally gotten to sink my teeth into this absolute behemoth of a game, and I've got to say, I've got some feelings. Anyway, I'm your big bro, Zolo the Legend, here to tell you that this is not a review for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Well, maybe kinda. I don't know. I want to get into a deeper discussion about the game, the story, the changes, the implications for the future, and all that shit, you know? You ready? Also, spoiler alert for the original in 1997 and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Full spoilers. All the spoilers. Every spoiler. You've been warned. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a retelling of the classic OG Final Fantasy VII, developed by Squaresoft and released in 1997. Or at least that's what they want you to think. In reality, it magnifies and amplifies what actually amounts to maybe the first 5 to 10 hours of the original, but with so much more story and depth. For the most part, I'd say it really works. It pays a lot of respect to the vibe of the original, while making some minor and some major changes to the classic story, which we'll get into later, but first, let's break it down. Presentation of this game is intense. The devs said they watched Advent Children to get that modern look and feel, and definitely shows. There's times where I'm playing, I'm like, oh yeah, they definitely watched Advent Children. And there's times I'm playing, I'm like, oh, I'm literally playing Advent Children right now. The Unreal Engine is a literal beast. Character models for the main cast are so phenomenal. Citizens of Midgar, the quality varies a little bit, but that's to be expected. Some of the environments can be pretty dense with Midgar locals just living their lives and having conversations. It's actually really dope. The lighting is sick. There's some dope camera work in the cutscenes, and the acting really sells the world. I had to turn the subtitles off, man. The game is so pretty. It really felt like I was playing a movie in the best way possible.
The folks down there don't have the luxury of choice, you know.
So check your fucking white privilege, Cloud. They've updated the soundtrack too, and their tunes are definitely do the OG justice, but there are a handful of new tracks to keep it original, especially the main contribution of the OG's game composer Nobuo Uematsu, Hollow Skies, the theme of Sector 5. I can listen to that on repeat all day. Well, that and the Song of My People. This is the Song of My People. The song didn't have to go this hard, but it definitely did though. No doubt this is an amazing game to look at and to listen to, but how's it play? I really didn't know what to expect coming in the gate. Only barely touched FF15 this year to hype myself up for the remake, and I had to say the depth of the game's combat was a huge letdown for me. Final Fantasy VII Remake, though, blows that shit out of the water. The game systems are amazing melding of action RPGs and the turn-based ATB system of the original. In fact, a lot of how the game plays really respects the source material, down to the lifeblood of the game's meta, the materia system. Back in '97, the materia system was superb. It encouraged customization, experimentation. The materia combos were basically limitless, and it was amazing how big of a difference the right materia combo can make for a tough fight. The remake honors that, and in spades. It doesn't get into the same level of complexity as the late game the OG did. You only get fire, ice, lightning, and wind as far as the damage spells go, and you used to get stuff like Quake and all types of cool shit. But, you know, you really got the better materia after you left Midgar, so I'm holding out that the remake part 2 will have some more of the materia from the OG. but there's still more than enough to sink your teeth into here. You spend a lot of time in this game's meta. This menu was kind of unwieldy at first, but once you're used to it, it's fun. I'm definitely gonna get more materia, as you always need more materia. And I'm learning new combos all the time, seriously. Daily dodge and HP absorb, that's some cold shit, man. I can't even lie to you. The game also honors the turn-based nature of the originals. When you attack, you raise your character's ATB gauge much faster, so it actually encourages you to hop between the party members, giving each one their turn, building their ATB and strategically using their best abilities for the situation. It's crazy. Some of the smaller fights can feel like Dark Souls or Jedi Fallen Order, just, with the pacing and the action. And then other huger boss fights and battles really require you to spend a lot more time hopping between tombs and strategizing in the command menu. And here it really feels like you're just playing Final Fantasy VII, which honestly, that's the biggest compliment I can give this shit. It's very much still a game where every party member needs to take their turn, and I'm honestly getting tired of people saying that the AI teammates suck. There aren't any AI teammates, bro. You're supposed to be playing all of them.
I'm sick of this.
I'm sick of all this.
I'm sick of all of this.
It's triggered. Granted, they do have some command menu materia specifically designed to let the bots take some of the load off. And you can honestly play the game however you want to. There's no harm in using that stuff, but if you're gonna play on hard mode, personally, I feel like you might be wasting a materia slot using something like auto cure. You can easily cure the party yourself. It's going to require you to pay a lot more attention to what's going on and keep track of your party's stats in battle, their health, their ATB. But hey, that's Final Fantasy. The bike minigame is alright, so it's nice that you can skip it in future playthroughs. And the spark notes here is that they really nailed the gameplay. It can be difficult to master, but it's incredibly satisfying once you do. Gameplay is really only half of why the OG was one of the greatest games of all time, though. There was something else about that. And something else in this remake. I might have a bit of a grievance with it. Okay, I warned you about spoilers, so if you're this deep in and you don't want to be spoiled, now is the time to peace out. We're going all the way in. Final Fantasy VII follows Avalanche, a group of eco-terrorists up against Shinra, an electric power company that also basically the world's hostile government or some shit, and they try to stop them from sucking the Mako energy out of the planet. Side note, the new voice actor for Barrett, he used to call it Mako too. It's actually called Mako, but Mako Brothers Unite, we in this bitch. Anyway, Shinra is also directly responsible for the murderous intent of Sephiroth, the OG game's main antagonist. You're like, I'm tweaking. Oh. So, it's not news, the original had some pretty shoddy translating in the port to America. And also, it's really easy to just have characters spout exposition. If the player has to read the dialogue, we'd be a lot more forgiving. But now, it's 2020. You gotta have more finesse in your storytelling. You gotta do something more compelling. You gotta get deeper. And I gotta say, Final Fantasy VII Remake really delivers here for the most part. They certainly got the personalities of these characters down. They're all a lot more palpable. Cloud is still kind of a douche. Barrett is a dickhead and he yells at people and goes on log rants.
Get help.
Say that again.
Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie actually have a lot more personality, which is dope. And Jessie has an even bigger boner for Cloud. She always had a boner for Cloud, though. Tifa is tough as nails, but she values life and doesn't really want to fight, which is kind of new addition to her character, but I think I really like it. It makes the story a lot more compelling, and it makes the character dynamics really play off of each other well, especially when Tifa links up with you guys for the Sector 5 section. I actually think she's my favorite new character. Well, the way that they're realizing the character, I think she's my favorite now. She was always one of my favorites, though. She's dope. Aerith is also absolutely perfect. Her attitude and the way that she builds her relationship with Cloud, shit is dope. All I can say about Red 13 is I really can't wait to see more of him. You get a glimpse and he does really dope, but gotta see more of this guy. But the in-game banter between the characters when you're fighting and when you're just walking through the city, it really sells the world, especially the acting. These guys did a great job with this. And I'm talking specifically about the American cast because they're the only ones I've heard. I'm sure the other cast did great as well, but the American cast knocked the shit out. They honor a lot of the original scenes in ways that have to be seen to be believed. And while they change small things here and there, it always served character or story. And I like that. Then there's some new sections entirely, like the plate mission with Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. And these sections work too in showing you parts of Midgar you hadn't seen and you didn't know you wanted to before. But then there are things that I might have a little bit of a beef with, and they might surprise you. So one change that they made is that I don't really agree with is that Avalanche is now a much bigger group, but it's like splintered factions or something. Instead of it just being a dope idea Baird and his homies came up with on a visit to Cosmo Canyon, you know, like in the OG. They're just like a too extreme version of the rest of Avalanche, so they don't rock with them. I mean, on its face, it's not a huge change, but I think it kind of undermines Baird's agency just a little bit. But, you know, kind of on the fence about it. And then the other part is where, you know, Shinra is the one responsible for destroying the Mako 1 reactor. And they're just playing Avalanche so they can take the fall and Shinra can play hero. You know, I think that would work a lot better if Avalanche was more just a Barrett and his homies idea, but maybe that's just me. The biggest change, though, is the talk of the internet right now. It's the Whispers, the Arbiters of Fate. Drawing those trying to alter Destiny's course. Destiny, of course, being the plotline of the OG. I've heard the theory that the Whispers are us, you know, the fans of the OG game who are trying to keep the story on its rails. The end gets really meta and the characters themselves fight against Destiny, and effectively they win, which in theory frees up the next part of the remake to do basically whatever the hell they want to do. At least that's what the fears of the fans are. But the more I've played and analyzed the story, I'm not really worried about that anymore. Here's why. So you notice the Whispers fight to make sure the game doesn't change things about the story of the OG. They didn't let Cloud kill Reno in the church because that didn't happen. They didn't let Sephiroth kill Barrett in Shinra Tower because that didn't happen. But I think we need to pay a little more attention to all the changes that the Whispers don't interfere with. The Whispers didn't stop us from exploring the plate with Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. Aerith's mom straight up telling you not to rescue Aerith. Whispers ain't stop that shit. Hell, the Whispers, and trying to make sure that Cloud is with Avalanche for the Mako 5 mission, they end up hurting Jessie and preventing her and Wedge from attending that mission, which is a change they actually needed to make. Because in the original, you know, they just left Marlene in that bar. They just left a little girl in charge of the liquor and the bar. Like, if they did that in 2020, shit's not going down. So a lot of what's being changed, they're changing it for a reason. And you see that the Whispers are really only interfering with really big changes to the story that would fundamentally change the narrative or change the characters or change the story in ways that we probably wouldn't really rock with. And so, you know, there's that. I really believe that this is just the devs' meta way of telling us that they're only going to change those types of things and that they're going to really honor the rest of the story exactly the same way that they did here. Here's another change, a small change that I like a lot, actually.
Soldier.
Making President Shinra appear as a hologram instead of him walking out of the reactor behind you. Like, that shit didn't make no sense. But, you know, they won't kill Barrett before it's his time. They won't make changes to the core story as a whole. Everything that we loved about the original is going to be here in some way. I actually think that there's one other thing that they're preparing us for to lose. And Aerith actually addresses that in the ending. It's the boundless freedom. In the OG, when you depart Midgar after dividing your party, hitting up the next town and having Cloud do storybook time with the gang and letting them know like why Sephiroth is terrible and needs to get fucked, and then you get the PHS and the freedom to choose your party for basically the rest of the game, I actually think that freedom is the biggest thing that they're preparing us to lose. With the way they want to tell the story, or at least the way they've been telling the story so far, I think they're going to make their mind on what the party makeup is at any given time. I think they'll make specific people around for specific events, like maybe making sure Baird is with the group when they reach Coral, since that's where he's from, or making sure Aerith is there to talk to the Turks in the cave after the Midgard Zolom, which, side note, is actually how I got the name Zolo. Surprise, motherfucker! They're probably going to involve Vincent and Yuffie in the actual narrative, and in the OG, you could finish the game without ever seeing them. Sure, if they really wanted to, maybe they could do the Mass Effect route and make sure any combination of characters has something to say in every situation, but I just don't get the vibe that's the story they're trying to tell. Maybe that's just me. Now that the gang has beaten their destiny, now even players of the OG don't truly know what's going to happen next. So in a way, we're all just anticipating, speculating, and waiting for the next story together in a way that'd be literally impossible if they stuck to the original beat for beat. We really don't know. Anyone could die. Do I think anyone will? Probably not. Some people are holding out hope that maybe Aerith won't die. Do I think she won't? Nah, she gonna die, G. Get ready for those tears again. But I'm hopeful. The love and the care they've shown and how they've handled the story in 95% of this game gives me enough faith that I'll fall even more in love with this franchise as it keeps going. So in conclusion, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a dope game with pretty graphics, kick-ass music, fun gameplay, and incredible story. You should play this shit if you love a good story, if you embrace the challenge of an action turn-based combination system, if you have a PlayStation 4 at all, and if you've wondered what the hype has been for 20 years, this is the perfect time to join up. Shit, I'm probably gonna go jump back on right now. But hey guys, I was your big bro, Zolo Legend. If you like, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your theories are about what the ending of the game might mean. I don't think that I'm right, you know. This is just my theory. This is just my thoughts. These are my feelings. I really want to hear what you guys think. And if you like this, please stick around because I plan on making a lot more content like this, you know, doing more gameplay, doing more streaming, doing more stuff like that. So if that's your flavor, then stick around. I'm Zolo Legend. Peace out.